If the relationship had become toxic by January 2022, as prosecutors allege, it's not apparent from this snapshot in time. At CF McCarthy's in Canton, they laugh and embrace during a night of heavy drinking. According to police, Karen would back over John and leave him for dead in a snowstorm 2 hours later. Prosecutors say it happened outside the Canton home of another Boston cop named Brian Albert. Karen says she dropped John off there for a get-together.
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Karen Cole from Legal Minded Friends, and today we're going to talk about a serious subject about drinking.
And why would the prosecutor mislead or lie about how much the accused Karen Read had to drink the night her and her boyfriend were out drinking? Here, let's listen to one of the state troopers for the state of Massachusetts say Karen Read said when they interviewed her the next morning at her parents' house.
As far as activity the night before, leading up to Mr. O'Keefe being discovered. She stated that she was in a relationship with Mr. O'Keefe that morning, meaning the 28th of January. She got into a fight with Mr. O'Keefe over what the niece and nephew were being fed for breakfast, or what they had for breakfast. She went on to say that she met Mr. O'Keefe at CF McCarthy's approximately 9 p.m. the night of the 28th of January, 2022. She stated that the gentlemen were drinking, consuming beers, Bud Lights, and she was drinking vodka soda. Prior to moving on to the bar at Waterfall, we went on through the conversation in the interview to the Waterfall restaurant, at which point she was asked if she left CF McCarthy's with a beverage or a container from that establishment, to which point she stated that she did not.
I'm sure you've heard of the phrase, let's have one more for the road, and do you know where that originated from? Well, it's said to have originated from a habit that the local inns would offer prisoners one final drink before they went to the gallows. So in this video, we're going to talk about how many drinks Karen Read had.
And did Karen Read take one for the road? We'll also watch the videos played in court where the prosecutor painstakingly goes through the number of drinks Karen Read had to prove she was indeed intoxicated. Let's start with Karen Read arriving at the first bar to meet John. Remember, the state trooper had made a point that Karen had said that they had had an argument that morning. So let's take a look at that. So, did you observe their body language towards each other? He definitely noticed her walking up. His arm went out as soon as he saw her walking into the bar. He embraces her and gives her back a little rub. I think they even have a little cuddle. They look very happy to see each other. Pretty lovey-dovey. So, it appears to me the fight that they had that morning may have been nothing more than a parenting disagreement, because I believe John O'Keefe was upset with Karen because she took the children out for a donut before school. In any event, from their body language now, it appears that the argument or fight was long forgotten from that morning. Now, because there is no sound on this video, I will pop on the screen some fun facts about drinking you might find interesting. So let's continue.
From your review of this video, what, if anything, of significance do you observe in this part of the video?
This part of the video, I observed the defendant reaching over and retrieving a cylindrical, tall cocktail glass from the bartender.
And again, given the understanding that the video is about 12 minutes off as far as the timestamp, the defendant entered about 8:51 p.m. and is receiving this drink about 8:58 p.m. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if you could, Ms. Gilman, play that to. Now, Ms. Gilman, if you could go up to about 32 minutes even in to the same video. Now I'm going to ask you to play that for the next 30 seconds or so to about 32 minutes and 30 seconds. And Sergeant, during that about 30 seconds or so, what, if anything, of significance did you observe the defendant to receive at that point?
A cylindrical cocktail glass.
And so that would be the second drink, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's at approximately 9:15, is that correct?
That's correct.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could go forward to about 37 minutes into this same video. If you could play that for about the next minute or so, for about 38 minutes. Sergeant, again, from that about 1 minute portion from that video, what, if anything, of significance did you observe the defendant receive and do with any items?
She received the shot glass beverage and poured it into the tall cylindrical cocktail glass, and then Mr. John O'Keefe stirred it for her.
And so that would now be the third drink, is that correct?
That is correct.
And that's about 9:20 p.m., is that correct?
That's correct.
If I could direct you to the fourth video, video number 4, and ask you to go about 50 seconds into 50 into this video. And I'm going to ask you to play this, Ms. Gilman, from 50 seconds to about 1:30. Ms. Gilman. So, Sergeant, from this particular video, what, if anything, of significance do you observe the defendant receiving during this time frame?
She receives another shot glass beverage and then places that liquid into her tall cocktail glass and stacks the second shot glass into the first shot glass into the first tall cylindrical cocktail glass she had previously received and consumed.
So this would now be the fourth drink, is that correct?
That is correct.
And per the video, that's about 9:33 p.m., is that correct?
That is correct.
And Ms. Gilman, within this same video, if I could ask you to go to about 26 minutes and 30 seconds. Ms. Gilman, if you could pause there for just a moment. I'm going to ask you to play this until about 27:40. Thank you, Ms. Gilman. During that period, Sergeant, what, if anything, of significance did you observe the defendant to receive during that time frame?
She received a tall cylindrical cocktail glass.
And in addition to that, what, if anything else, did she receive from the bartender during that time?
A shot glass size beverage.
And what, if anything, did she do with the shot glass in regard to the larger cylindrical glass?
It was placed inside the tall cylindrical cocktail glass.
So that would be drinks 5 and 6, is that correct?
That's correct.
And per the timestamp on the bar video, this is now about 9:57 p.m., is that correct?
Correct.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could direct you to video number 5, and if I could ask you to go to about 3 minutes in. And ask you to play that till about 3:30 or so. Thank you, Ms. Gilman. And if I could ask you to go to about 10 minutes and 30 seconds in. And I would ask you to play that for about a minute to about 11:30 or so. So Sergeant, sort of rounder shots during this portion of the video, is that correct?
That's
Yeah, sustained. You can ask it differently.
What, if anything, of significance did you observe the defendant and/or the group that she was with do in this portion of the video?
in this portion of the video, the two gentlemen to the right of the defendant consume a shot-size beverage.
And as far as the shot glass that the defendant received, what, if anything, do you observe her to do with that?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Or strike that. Just what did you observe, not what she had.
What did you observe the defendant to do during that portion?
Prior to the shots being taken, a shot glass was poured into the cylindrical tall glass.
And again, so that would be drink number 7 at that point?
That would be drink number 6.
And I'm sorry, so the previous portion was a cylindrical drink and then a shot glass that was 5 and 6, is that correct?
Objection.
I think that was the testimony, but ask it differently.
As far as that drink during that portion, is that drink number 6 or drink number 7?
Objection.
Yeah, in that form, I'll sustain it.
At this point in time in the video, after watching what you watched, how many drinks has the defendant consumed at this point?
At this point, she's consumed or is in possession of
Objection.
I'll allow it.
6 drinks.
And this is at approximately 10:29 p.m., is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Ms. Gilman, if you could go to about 20 minutes and 30 seconds in. Wait for the next 10, 20 seconds. So during that portion of the video, what, if anything, do you observe as to the drink the defendant has and how full it is at that point?
She has a cylindrical tall cocktail glass in her hand.
And can you observe, or did you observe how full that glass was?
Drink number 6 is empty, or near the bottom, almost empty.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could ask you to go to about 22 minutes and 40, I'm sorry, 22:40 or so within for the timestamp, I'm sorry. Now, from this portion of the video, Sergeant, what, if anything, do you observe the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe doing in reference to C.F. McCarthy?
Once the defendant got drink number 7, the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe walk out of C.F. McCarthy's, the defendant holding the beverage, tall cylindrical glass in her hand.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I recognize it to be a series of transaction receipts from the tabs at C.F. McCarthy's.
And are these the transaction receipts or tabs that you received, you and Trooper Keefe received from C.F. McCarthy's on February 1st, 2022?
Yes, they are.
And with reference to those receipts or tabs, to whom, if anyone of significance, do those tabs pertain to?
The first one for 5280 was opened under the bar tab, Karen A. Reed.
And is there also a receipt from John O'Keefe?
Yes, it is. The transaction through the credit card, being a MasterCard for 5280, was paid by Mr. John J. O'Keefe.
And with reference to the items listed within that particular receipt, what, if any, items of significance do you observe listed on the receipts?
On the Karen A. Reed's receipt, 1 Tito's, $10, 1 Tito's, $10, 1 Coors Light, $5.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
May I approach him?
Yes.
Commonwealth Prosecutor to introduce and admit as an next exhibit.
We probably should approach
Okay.
briefly.
And so, Sergeant Mechanic, on those receipts from C.F. McCarthy's under both Ms. Reed's receipt and Mr. O'Keefe's receipt, there was Tito's vodka listed on the receipt, correct?
Correct.
Now, also on February 1st, what, if any, other establishments did you go to in the town of Canton?
Myself and Trooper Keefe went up across the street to the Waterfall Bar and Grill and retrieved transaction receipts and video from there as well.
You now the bar designated 464.
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
That is the still shots presented to me and entered into the exhibit of Mr. O'Keefe walking out of the Waterfall Bar and Grill at 12:11 a.m. on the night of the early morning hours of January 29th, holding a cocktail glass.
Oh my goodness, are you confused as I am? Prosecutor Lally, it just doesn't tally. But wait, it gets worse. Let's take a listen.
From that portion of the video, you observed the defendant in that portion of the video?
Yes, I did.
And what, if anything, did you observe her to be doing?
She retrieves a drink from the table and appears to consume it.
Now, as far as the drink and the tall cylindrical glass that you observed her walking out of C.F. McCarthy's with, what, if anything, do you observe from the glass that she's taking a sip of from this portion of the video of the waterfall?
It's a shorter, fatter style glass compared to the cylindrical tall style that she walked out of C.F. McCarthy's with.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Gilman, you can take that. And Mr. Officer, if we could have the lights. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Lally, why don't we end for the day? It's been a long day. Everybody ready to go home? Yeah, okay. All right, so Sergeant, we're going to meet you back tomorrow, and I'll ask you to just follow the jurors out when they leave. So, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Circle back just to a couple things that from your testimony from yesterday. Going back to the video that you reviewed from both C.F. McCarthy's and the Waterfall. In total, from those two videos, how many drinks did you observe the defendant consuming over her time?
The video shows 9 drinks being consumed by the defendant.
And that's between when she arrives at C.F. McCarthy's until the time that she leaves the Waterfall, is that correct?
That is correct.
So essentially, from those mathematical calculations, anyone within sort of the general population with that result would be somewhere between the 0.13 and the 0.29, correct?
Correct.
May I approach just to retrieve your arm?
Yes.
A moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You used a method called retrograde extrapolation to reach your sort of opinions and conclusions in this case, correct?
Yeah, it was a calculation.
And that means that you rely on an assumption that a trend will continue beyond sort of observable data.
So the metabolism is actually pretty well studied. So we know that that elimination rate, unless you introduce more alcohol into the system, it declines at that rate, and it's pretty linear.
Exactly. So in other words, certain assumptions are incredibly important for you to reach your analysis.
Sure.
And that includes sort of the timing of the very last drink that the individual had. Is that right?
Yes.
If your drinking pattern is sort of different than what you assume for purposes of your calculation, then you'd agree that your entire extrapolation would be incorrect. Is that right?
Yes, it could be.
And again, those assumptions sort of included the time of the incident, right?
Yes.
And importantly, the time of the last drink.
So those two will be what we use. It's the time of the blood draw as well as the time of the incident or last drink.
And there you have it. This is why it's so important that Karen Read's blood alcohol content was, as you can see on the screen, around the legal limit for intoxication in Massachusetts, which is 0.8%, given the evidence presented by this trooper, who I had a hard time following his testimony on the number of drinks Karen Read had at the two bars, and that it was reported by the police her last drink was at 12:45 a.m., and considering Karen Read and John O'Keefe left the bar at 12:11 a.m., and it was John O'Keefe who took a drink for the road, this could very well be incorrect, as the defense has pointed out. And don't forget, it was Jen McCabe who said Kerry Roberts said Karen Read was driving around drunk. Yet no one at the second bar said Karen Read was intoxicated. So can we say with 100% certainty that Karen Read was in fact intoxicated? Please leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Karen Cole from Legal Mind Friends, and information is power. By leaving a comment, you may help someone else that will read your comment. And of course, I love to read all comments, as they are valued, and together we can be more informed. And this information may help you or someone you know.